Hello and welcome to another episode of Put Me in Coach on episode 25. And yeah. This is the Diamondbacks game. The White versus the White Sox game 3. This is like kind of like do or die situation, and fortunately enough, it just didn't go our way. The lineup today: Adrian Del Castro playing DH, um, uh, Jorge Barosa playing left field, Alec Thomas at center field, and then Armoris Garcia is doing his debut game today, and he's playing catcher. And fortunately enough for this is, seeing him at bat and stuff. Honestly enough, this is actually not his first time playing catcher and stuff. So this is his second time playing catcher in a game and stuff. He actually made his first debut as a catcher, just a catcher, before, when there was like a lot of like games like going around. I think it was one of the Blue Jays game and stuff, but that's that. And then Jose Fernandez actually came in to pitch hit for Garcia. And stuff. So fortunately enough, in the top of the 8th and the ninth as well, just Jose Fernandez just pitch hit for him and stuff, and then James McCain came in just to catch for that. But fortunately enough, James McCain did not hit, and generally enough that. What the difference enough, obviously the lineup is kind of the same, besides of enough of Perdomo is the first batter in the lineup instead, so he kind of boosts himself up, and then unfortunately enough the rest is just kind of the same in a way and stuff. Fortunately enough, you can see it's about I'm trying to see. I think everybody got a base hit besides of Corbin Carroll and Barosa. I think so. That's what I'm seeing and stuff. Obviously, Fernandez went 0 for 1, but that doesn't really matter and stuff. But again, 8 out of, I mean, yeah, 7 out of 9, 8 out of 9 or something. I don't know. 7 out of 9 people get on base and stuff. The offense was there, but it's just we were not getting a lot of runs. So that was a little difficult in a way. And fortunately enough, the White Sox were doing exactly the same thing and stuff. So not going to give a whole lot of credit to I just thinking it was just the pitching wise enough. It was just going back and forth of how this was gonna be. But anyways of that. But I don't know what I'm talking about. Pitching wise, Michael Sorka did okay. I just didn't like he just keep getting hits and stuff. He went 5 innings, gave up 7 hits. Fortunately, I don't like that. Struck out 6, do like that. Walk once, gave up 1 run and stuff. And then Davis Martin as the starting pitcher for the White Sox this game went 7 innings, gave up 6 hits, struck out 7, walked 1, and gave up 1. So I would definitely say Davis Martin and Michael Sorka are like combined. Like they're very level together in a way. So both of them stand out really well with their strikeouts, but they did give up a lot of hits. So that's just showing enough of both sides of the team. Offense were just off, and this whole series was just offense. And it's just absolutely insane. But fortunately enough, they didn't really give a lot of runs away, so it was kind of like a pitching battle in a way. But they did give up a lot of runs. I mean, a lot of hits, I meant to say, sorry. And stuff. The bullpen for the Diamondbacks, Kevin Ginkel, Juan Morello, and then Paul Sewald, fortunately enough, got the loss. And then Jonathan Lacasia at the end. But fortunately enough, we didn't get the win at all and stuff. So, bullpen is doing good. It's just obviously enough. The negative is Paul Sewald. We'll talk about then the scoring of that because we're going to go straight to the scoring right now and stuff. So, not a whole lot scoring, but we want to talk about it and stuff. Adrian Casio did a RBI double to make it 1-0, bottom of the first. So, starting hot pretty much enough. It's crazy enough of these two games we didn't do so well in the beginning and stuff. So for us to start good in the first inning and stuff, it's huge. And then Miguel Vargas hit a RBI single to tie the game up 1-1, top of the third. Amaris Garcia, at his first at bat, got his first hit, so good for him. Love to see that. Vargas is literally keep having his hitting streak and stuff. He only gave up only one hit. He hit a single and giving his 18 hitting streak alive at this point and stuff. That's absolutely insane. The guy's going to make history in some ways and stuff. Trying to think of he's like tied with somebody with record or something like Alex Rodriguez or something. I have no idea. Something like that. But yeah, and then fortunately enough, Andrew Benintendi did hit a 3 home run to give them a 4-1 lead in the top of the 9th off of Paul Sewald. And obviously you're looking at my face like, oh my goodness. That is the final score. We lost 1-4 is the total score. And now our record is 14-11. Not too bad, but fortunately enough, I did want to win to make it 15-10. But so we lost a series over the White Sox, and the White Sox. Sorry, I'm kind of like a little yelling in a way. I apologize for that. Yeah, they're not good either. We lost a series off of a bad team. But fortunately enough, I'll give props for the White Sox a little bit because their offense was absolutely going off today and stuff. Who knows if the White Sox can show this more often and stuff, they might win some games. But fortunately enough, they're just not a really good team and stuff, and just. I don't know, that just shows the Diamondbacks, suck today or whatever, or the series and stuff. I'm feeling like we shouldn't win. I mean, we shouldn't lose against the White Sox because we're a better team than them. But I don't know. To me, enough of just why did Lavello put Paul Sewald when it's tied 1-1 in the 9th inning? Do you remember of some memories back then? Do you remember when Paul Sewald was coming in the 9th when it is tied game? Do you remember that? Because that was one of the games against the Braves, and the score was no score because it was 0-0 tie game in the 9th inning. And what did Paul Sewald gave up? Yeah, 2 back-to-back home runs of Ozzy Albies and Matt Olson. And this time, he walked 2 batters back to back and stuff. Only got 1 out, fortunately enough, and stuff. But giving up away enough of those walks and stuff, obviously, yes, it's a walk, but that's your mistake in a way. And then, fortunately enough for Andrew Benintendi to hit a 3 home run, like, obviously, yes, like, Andrew Benintendi is a good player and stuff, but this is like, what the heck, you've been doing so solid, for the closing point and stuff, this would like, to me of enough, I prefer to have Paul Sewald to come in when we're actually about to win the game. We're not winning this game when it's tied game. I don't understand for him to come in when it's tied game. Who does this? Who put their closer when it's a tied game at the 9th inning? Doesn't make no sense. He's not gonna get the win. He's not gonna get. You're putting in a failure in when it's tied game, and I just remember enough of, like, there's no way he's gonna put Paul Sewald at this time, and you did. Like, you're like, I don't know what his, like, plan to being success in this point enough. You're not learning your mistakes before, and this is gonna happen twice, and it did. So fortunately for that, maybe having Morello to go again for 3 innings and stuff, or maybe put Jonathan Leskitskia in the 9th inning, have him close it out and stuff, go in the extra inning, and then if we score and stuff, fortunately we won't, because we would actually win the game with a walk-off because we were home and stuff. But it's just like you're giving some opportunity away enough. Don't not put Paul Sewald when it's a tie game in the 9th. Don't do it, please. Like, it's just like, I was gonna say, like, is this gonna happen again? And it did. It just, and he didn't look good when he came up to play at the mound, I meant to say, and stuff, because giving up 2 walks. This is like the game 1 in the World Series in 2023. Walked a player, gave up a run, and got the loss. Progress. I like the offense going off crazy of enough. So I think that's a pretty solid. Just keep hacking, looking at your notes and stuff. Bullpen is looking good. Just don't put Paul Sewald in the 9th when it's a tie game and stuff. And our starting pitchers needs to do better enough. Michael Soroka did really good today, but it was not, what we wanted of enough. Our offense didn't do the job we wanted. We got only 1 run. Yeah, they got 1 run too, but we needed to get more, to win the game. But, we cannot suffer it enough to the 9th inning for Paul Sewald just to lose it. We're not going to take that ever again. Please, Ravello, stop doing this. Can't win every game and stuff. It sucks, and I want them to win every series, but fortunately enough, you can't. I didn't understand enough. We got swept by the Dodgers, and that was our first loss of a series and stuff. I totally understand that and stuff, especially enough now that the Dodgers are doing not that great at the time and stuff, because the Padres are now in first place. They're actually tied for first place with the Dodgers. But, that just shows of enough of both teams are some ways doing good, some ways they're not doing good and stuff. And we're kind of in that conversation with them, but we're just kind of downhill from it and stuff. So I want to be part of that and stuff. We want to be in the top. I understand we're in third place, and Giants and the Rockies are not doing so good and stuff. But I want to be better. I want to be better than Padres. I want to be better on the Dodgers. But, you could say enough of, there's no way enough of you're going to be better than the Dodgers. Because they won back-to-back doesn't mean enough they're better than us. Enough of it. It's just a matter enough of we can show. That's what I want to do. I want to show we're better than the Dodgers. Doesn't mean we're better than the Dodgers as championships and stuff. Yeah, we don't have no 9 wins, World Series in history and stuff. Fortunately enough, the Dodgers are way much older than the Diamondbacks. By the way, you thought about the Brooklyn Dodgers? How about the Brooklyn Robins? Thinking about that? Yeah, nah. And stuff, and we only won 1 World Series, and that was in 2001. And fortunately enough, that happened over 20 years ago. Over 20 years ago, over 25 maybe. Who knows? And stuff. I have no idea. I was 3 or 4 years old when that happened, and so. But, yeah, I just want them to win. That's all, that's what I mattered and care about the Diamondbacks so much and stuff. So hopefully we don't lose more series, because I'm not going to be happy about that and stuff. We are going, so right now, there's a break, for me and stuff, because there's no game tomorrow and stuff. But I believe enough of Saturday and Sunday we are going off road, but I guess we're also home stadium as well, I believe. But we are going to play the Padres in 2 series game. Interesting. But it will be in Mexico. So that's going to be interesting. I would assume and stuff. So I'm looking forward to that, but also I'm not looking forward to lose against the Padres. But hopefully enough we'll do good. I hope. I just want my Diamondbacks to win, okay? Okay, bye.